Hello, this is Mr. Evilcheese.
And I'm done with it.
And this is our video of my custom 1/6 scale Lee Everett action figure based on the Telltale Walking Dead video games. Specifically Season 1, well I guess Season 4 a little bit too. And there he is. And he is a very, very memorable video game character that I really liked and really wanted a custom of. Well, I wouldn't mind having an official one, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, probably not.
So I decided to make a custom Lee. And there he is. I'll say it's similar if you see my Clementine review from Season 4. It's more like a realistic version, not so much the cartoony version. But also in Season 4 there's a flashback, or I guess like a dream sequence where you see Lee. And it's like a more realistic take on him, and I'd say this would be closer to that. Because in Season 1, everybody's got the really big eyes, stylized eyes. So this one doesn't have the gigantic, unrealistic eyes, but that'd be a major difference. This guy took a little while to make. I switched between many different parts that I wanted to use, different bodies. This is like the fourth head that I thought about using. And it wasn't even right, I had to customize it, but I'll show pictures of that later on. But it's a figure, and I made several accessories for him. So also, if you watched my Clementine review, I made her a ridiculous amount of accessories. And a lot of that had to do with the items you collected in it. I did make a ton of stuff for Lee, but not even half. Probably like a quarter of amount of what I made for her.
If that.
Yeah. But still, I made a decent amount of stuff. So I made him a meat cleaver, which he uses in the game, an axe, the hammer from one of the very first walkers you kill, the hunting rifle, which use that a lot, the ice pick. I'll explain why I made that. It is in the game. When you're trying to get the train working, you come across 3 different types of wrenches or some sort of train tools. And these look like 2 of them. The only thing is they're a little bigger in the game, longer, but these work well enough. Because whichever one you pick, he'll take with him and you can use it later in the game. I made a little glass shard. Alternate bloody stump with the little cord they wrap around his arm.
Tourniquet.
Then it's got the alternate shirt for when they work on his arm. And this is just an alternate shirt to go with that. But, and I also made him a base. And this is sort of a thing I made for him, but not really, because I tried to make the little axe, little hatchet, whatever. And I couldn't find one, so I had to try to make it. It didn't turn out very well. And it seems a little small. I don't think he really uses it very much, so this don't count. And I also made the little walkie-talkie, Clem's walkie-talkie, that she puts stickers on, and when she's kidnapped, Lee has it. Well, actually, he takes it from her before that. Little handgun. Handguns in the game are pretty plain looking, so I just gave him a plain looking one. And his watch, which should be on him already, but I forgot to put it on him. He's got alternate hands for various things. He's got his little family portrait that he finds at the drugstore.
In Macon.
And the little Savannah map. And that's all the accessories. So, his face I had a lot of trouble with. I ended up going through multiple heads. I found a head that I was like, I guess that could work for Lee. Then I found another one, I'm like, oh, maybe that could work. And then there's others I'm looking at online, I'm like, yeah. And then you got the 3-0 Fallout Power Armor. And it came with a head that I thought, that could work for a realistic Lee. It doesn't exactly look like him. And then I found a Will Smith head. And that's this one. And that's the one I ended up using. And what was good about that head is it was a bad sculpt of Will Smith. Which means that you didn't look at it and go, that's Will Smith!
Yeah, it didn't really look like him.
And it still wasn't perfect. There were some things that bothered me about it. The cheekbones weren't right for Lee, because Lee's got really big cheekbones. So I had to sculpt the cheekbones on, and then that made it look a lot better. And then I sculpted on his beard and even used little pieces of glue, or fabric glue, to make his scruffy looking beard, so it's all bumpy. Then I think that made him look a lot more like Lee. And also to sculpt the hair too, because it wasn't quite right. But
yeah, he definitely looks like him now. I don't think you would have found a head anywhere that really had those cheekbones, because his cheekbones are almost cartoony looking.
yeah, well, they are in the first game.
Yeah, looks kind of gaunt too.
Yeah. Yeah, his skin color is very, very odd skin color. Because he's black, but it's like, there's almost a grayish look to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like a realistic color, it's just weird. And it's hard to mix paint and get that. But I think I got close, at least. Close enough.
I think it looks good.
Yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. I do think it would be cool to have an alternate head that looked exactly like the cartoony one from the first season. And that's the same with Clementine. It would be cool to have an alternate head like that, but that's tough to do.
Yeah, it'd be really hard to make.
The shirt, I bought a white work shirt, and then I had to heavily modify it to make the little tails in the front, which was kind of difficult, but I think it worked out. I tried to find a shirt to just look like that, but they didn't seem to make any. I had to roll up his sleeves, give him his dirty white undershirt. The pants are pretty easy. I just found the pants that look like that and bought them, weathered them. And some boots. I just found some plain boots that look sort of like his boots. Not exactly.
I think they look good though. I like the boots.
But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the basic figure.
I'm gonna throw him.
Yeah. I think he turned out pretty well.
Yeah, he looks good.
And here's the base. I made a sticker, which I had to use Photoshop to modify this. But I took screenshots of Clementine's chalk paint on the parking lot at the motor inn that they were staying at. Because there's a part where you gotta look around for chalk because someone's betraying the group using chalk. And I just took a real photo of cracked asphalt and then photoshopped those chalk drawings onto there. And then
That looks really cool.
Nice. And I just found a couple random little papers online and stuck them on there. Because the parking lot in that game's covered in papers everywhere. But that worked pretty well. And there's his watch. He's got like that silver watch. Looks like a fancy watch. There is one online, but it was like $25 or $30 for a little tiny 6-scale watch. I'm like, no! I'll buy a cheap one and just make one. That's what I did.
Yeah, you made the band on it, right?
Yeah. Only thing about it is it almost looks a little too something too sparkly, or yeah, it almost looks sparkly. But it works good enough, I guess. It looks like a shiny silver watch. Maybe I should go over it with some silver paint. That might reduce the sparkliness.
Tone it down a little bit.
Yeah. Here's the map, Savannah map. This is actually available online. Just found a picture of it and printed it out, and then folded it on the weathered crease lines. And one thing funny about the first game, and I'll probably mention it a few times, is there's some frustrating things in the story that's kind of confusing, but also is like, what the hell do you got to do? And one of them is getting the map, because you're on the train. Kenny's sitting up there in the driver's seat, and whatever you call the seat, and the map's behind him, and you're like, you try to get it, and he's like, no, leave me alone. He won't let you get the map. And there's no option to say, can I have the map? You just have to try to get him to move. When you finally figure out how to get him to move, then you can grab the map and then go show it to Clementine and make a plan of what you're going to do when you get to Savannah.
There should have been an option to slap him for being a big baby.
Yeah. Well, his family just died.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm just trying to reach right here, and you just be like, ugh. You get so annoyed.
And his family photo, I made the part that Clementine has in season 2 where it's ripped off. His family's ripped off, and you just picture a Lee that she keeps. But this is the full picture that you see in season 1. And I try to make it the exact same size as the one I made for Clementine, so you can actually stick the little piece on there.
Aren't you fancy?
Yep, I am! And like I said, there's the walkie-talkie.
That's so cute. I love the little stickers.
I had to modify it to get it to be closer to the right shape. It's still not a complete right shape of the one in the game, but I couldn't find one like that. It's one of the game's more bulky looking, and I think it's supposed to be like a little kid's walkie-talkie. Like, it still works like a real walkie-talkie, but it's like a little kid version. But these are the actual flowers from the game. I just took screenshots of them when there's close-up pictures. Painted a little red button on the side. And then a plain little handgun. I'm not a handgun expert, but I don't think this is the exact model that is in the game. But it looks like a plain handgun, and that's good enough for me. And there's the bloody hammer. This is not the very first walker that Lee kills. I think it's the second. Because the first one he kills is the cop that's taking him to the prison. But the second one he kills is the babysitter of Clementine. Clementine hands him this hammer when he's about to get bit, and he beats her over and over and over again until her face is mush. Because she wouldn't die. So it's kind of a memorable weapon. And here's the axe. It's very similar. Well, I actually used the exact same axe that I used for Clementine, because it's a similar axe, but this one he pulls out of like the emergency fire thing where you got to break the glass and get the axe at the motorhome. So it's not as worn out as the one that Clementine has, but I still weathered it and put some blood on it. It actually, this is real metal and real wood, but it was like this rectangular handle that I had to shave down just like I did the Clementine's. But I shaved it down too far and it actually snapped. So I had to use Sculpey to fix it. But I guess it's alright.
You can't really tell.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know that you did that, you can see where it is, but I couldn't tell until you told me.
So here's Clementine's axe. It's got all the wrappings all over it. And, well, I didn't even realize it did that. I gave this more of a flat red. This is more of like a glossy red. But, yeah, they would still look like they're about the same axe. I'm guessing that was intentional in the games to give them a similar axe. I wanted to check this because I didn't actually test to see if they were the same size until right now, but they are. So you can just take the ripped off piece.
And that one even looks a tiny bit washed out, like she's had it for a while.
Yeah. Does it?
Yeah, it's lighter colored.
Oh yeah, I guess it is.
Tiny bit.
Okay, here's the meat cleaver from the end of the game. You get this whether you choose to cut his arm off or not. And this is actually a real metal tiny meat cleaver. And it actually is sharp. The handle I had to modify because it was really thick. It was super thick handle that wouldn't fit in his hand. So I had to cut the wood and made it work. And then bladed it up. I think it turned out pretty nice.
I like it.
If you make the choice to keep his arm and not cut it off, then he'll pick up this, well, depending on what version of the game you have, he'll pick up a shard of glass and then squeeze it until his own blood starts dripping down it. I guess to like make it kind of wedged into his skin so it doesn't slide out or something. And I just made this out of some clear plastic from an action figure package and blooded it up. And also put blood on the gripping hand because I figured it wouldn't really matter what he's holding, he can still have blood in his hand. But it'll look really good with this in it. Thing is, I played through the game, I don't know how many times, maybe 6 times, somewhere around there over the years. And most of the times I choose to cut his arm off because it just seems like that's what you should do. But I did leave it at least once just to see what happens. And that shard scene is kind of cool. And here's the 2 wrenches. This was actually from a keychain. And it just was about the right size for a 6 scale. But yeah, it should probably be about maybe like that long for the one in the game. But I'm fine with it being like this because they're not that important other than getting the train unlocked, and then he uses it a little later to beat some zombies with. And this was just from some 6 scale tool set that I bought online. And here is a little ice pick. Now I made this one just because it for me, I would vote it as the most confusing, like what the hell are you supposed to do part in the game. Because that's one thing that the first season is amazing. It won tons of awards. It's the acting and the directing and just the characters are amazing. But there's some frustrating gameplay points where you can't tell exactly what you're supposed to do because you got to look around and figure out what the arrows. Like you have to press an arrow in this one scene to move to the next section of the motorhome, and it's just like
it's part of the truck, right?
Yeah, there's a pickup truck there. And there's these zombies, and you got to figure out how to get past the zombies without getting them all after you at once. And then you see this in the pickup truck. So you have options to break the window, it won't do it. And then you go find a pillow, and it's like, oh, you must stick the pillow up against the window to break it. And nope, that don't work either. And you finally figure out that you have to take the pillow over and stick it on one of the near zombies and have the lady with you shoot it. And then I guess that means that none of the zombies will hear you break the window, so then you go back and break the window of the truck, and then you can finally get this stupid thing. But I remember when I originally played the game, I had lots of issues trying to figure out what the hell to do, and I'm like, this is annoying. And then I just recently replayed the game and forgot what you had to do, and I got this part, and I'm like, man, I remember this was annoying, but I should know now. And I did it! I couldn't remember what you had to do, and I was just as frustrated as the first time.
I only played through the game, I think, twice. But I remember the first time I played that part, I was about ready to just quit the game. Because there was, most of the parts that were confusing were because of the camera angles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard to see necessarily what you're supposed to do because you can't change the camera angle. And it would confuse me when you're supposed to go to a new area. But this was the one where I was just like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
What? Especially since the pillow thing with the zombie doesn't make sense because a pillow does not work as a silencer. It would not work.
Well, I don't know if it'll work or not, but I thought maybe you can use... I get you, how you're supposed to know... My thought was you couldn't go over and kill that one zombie because that would alert the other ones. And then after you kill that zombie, I would still think if you broke the glass that it would alert the other ones. So it's just... You didn't know what the makers were thinking. Here's the rifle. This may be... Let me look around. Not counting like his head and the actual body and stuff, but like... Out of the accessories, this was the most annoying accessory to make. Because I thought for sure there would be 6-skill hunting rifles, like modern ones, on eBay. And there wasn't. And... I mean, there was one, and that's what I bought. But... It was the wrong skill. Like, it was supposed to be 6-skill, but it was too small.
Yeah, it looked really tiny in his hands.
So I had to heavily modify this thing. I had to cut it, lengthen this whole section, sculpt in what I needed. And also this too. I had to cut this, add it in about, I don't know, like 1/4 inch to make it longer. So yeah, I had to modify this a lot and repaint it and everything. Now it's more like the length it should be. I do wish I could have just I could still find a 6 hunting rifle, because that would be better than this, because it's still, like the girth of it is still a little small. But the length is good. Yeah. The length is good, but not the girth.
He's got a pencil dick gun.
Yeah. But it works. And I almost thought about just not making this, but after replaying the game, he uses this quite a bit, so I figured he needs a hunting rifle. So there he is holding his rifle. I think it looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm. You can hold it pretty well, too.
Yeah. And there he is with his handgun. He stores it between his butt cheeks in the game. And that happens a lot. A lot of times you're controlling him, that's where he's got his handgun. And that worked pretty well. And he doesn't have a belt. I originally had a belt in this figure, and then I was looking at pictures like, he don't have a belt. There he is aiming the handgun. Aiming it very weirdly, but it works. So there he is holding the meat cleaver and shard. You can see his hands all bleeding from it. It's pretty cool. One thing is, I think the meat cleaver could maybe just be the tiniest bit bigger. But it works. But that was a really cool scene. Whether you have the arm cut off or leave it, it's just a cool scene where he's fighting through that horde to get to the hotel. There he is holding the axe. I do kind of think I need to make a hand like this one for this arm. Because he doesn't have just like a straight holding hand for that arm. But that's what I had.
And you should make it bloody too.
Or he was holding a stupid ass ice pick. Well, I had to make the ice pick too. I took a pen, a sewing pen, wrapped tinfoil around it and sculpted around it and then painted it. So that's how I made it. And now I guess we can switch his shirts and put on his severed arm version. The one thing good about this body I used is you can pop the arm out. So that's how I was able to do the severed arm thing. After you get the shirt on, gotta put the little tube or whatever they use to cut off the circulation.
Tourniquet.
And then I made his little stump out of bandages and then wrapped it around a sponge. I did it when it was on the hair so that it was the right shape. But it just kind of slides up in there like that. And there's his severed arm. And I think that worked out pretty well. I was really hoping that I'd be able to switch it and have him have a bloody stump. So there's the alternate battle through the horde where he only has one arm and has the meat cleaver. And I heavily weathered this shirt. Put a lot of blood over here where they cut his arm off. And there's some other dirtiness.
I definitely think he needs another gripping hand for that side because he's holding that knife a bit funny.
Yeah.
And still, he looks really cool though, and I like the blood on that side of his shirt. Looks good.
But as you're asking, like, which way am I going to display him? With the bloody stump or with both arms? And I'm thinking that I'll probably use both arms, but I don't know. I might switch it up just because I like.
The stump is pretty cool.
Yeah. The walkie-talkie actually has a little tab that you can put on a belt. The one in the game doesn't have that. It's just flat back here with a little sticker on it. But it attaches to him like that in the game. Just over top of his shirt. Like it's in his pants, but it's just on his shirt. But that doesn't really work. So you gotta lift his pants up and then stick it in, then it's all like weird. So I don't know. It might be better to just like stick it there in his pocket or something like that. Because it doesn't really fit to stick it on his waistband or it bunches his shirt up all
It
weird.
looks fine like that.
Yeah.
It's more realistic.
So there's Lee next to Season 4 Clementine. And I would say that this doesn't happen, but it actually does happen. Because in her dream, he's at first a little girl talking to him, but then at the end of her flashback, she goes back to her current form, and then it's like she's imagining herself talking to Lee. And he has both arms, no matter what you do, he's got both arms in her dream. So, that's pretty cool. I think she's a little shorter though in the flashback. Like she maybe more like that or something.
Yeah, that seems about right. She would be a little bit shorter.
Yeah. But based on her in the rest of season 4, it doesn't seem like she's that short. Like she's short, but not like that short.
Well, she's mostly around other kids too.
Well, yeah, that's true. But it's cool to have a Lee and Clementine together. But what's kind of funny is that really, even though these are in the dream together, they're not supposed to be together. So I don't have a little tiny little girl Clementine that should go with this one. And her, I don't have little AJ that should be with her. I need them damn little kids.
Well, it's really hard to find little kid bodies that are appropriate sizes. They don't make very many.
Yep. I have stuff to make little kid Clementine, but the body is still too tall. I'm going to have to modify it. But that is one I want to make. And I do want to make AJ, but I'm waiting on something that I could use for that. And there's Lee and Clementine holding their axes. One of the covers for the original game and one of the covers for Season 4, Clem and Lee are holding axes in similar ways. And they're kind of mirroring each other. So I might try to recreate that. Only problem is that AJ and young Clem are in those pictures and I don't have them. So I'll have to be mirroring that without kids. So there's Lee next to the 3-0 Rick Grimes. And I always kind of wish these guys could have met, but didn't happen. Lee did get to meet a few people that Rick has met, like Herschel and Glenn, but that's about it. But still, in an alternate reality, maybe they could have met.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they could meet in the TV show reality, if it wasn't ending. Okay, so that's my custom Lee figure. And it took a lot of work, but it wasn't as bad as Clementine was. Clementine was really, really hard. It took a really long time, not even counting the ridiculous amount of accessories I made.
And the things that you had to start over on.
Yeah.
Repeatedly.
So Lee wasn't that bad, but he was still a little tough.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. It's cool having a Lee 6th scale figure.
I think he turned out really good. I think you got the likeness pretty good. The cheekbones, I think, turned out good. Because I remember you had done the cheekbones, and I was like, well, they should look a little more. And then you had to do them again, because I picked on them.
Well, they were off. I was just trying to convince myself they weren't.
But they look much better now. It turned out really good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I told you to do them again.
And I do like I went ahead and made the options of switching his arm to the stump, because I thought about just not having a stump.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's cool you can switch them.
The stump tastes a little funny though.
Yeah.
So musty.
Accessories, most of the accessories are pretty fun, other than the stupid rifle was a pain in the ass. There's a few other little things I thought about making, just because they were memorable in the game. One was the stupid batteries for the radio, because they're hard. You have to find them each separately, and then they even make fun of themselves in the story, because that Carly, the news reporter, for some reason doesn't know how batteries work. It's just kind of silly in the first episode, and then in the later episodes, you kind of makes fun of herself for not knowing how batteries work. And it's like kind of hard to believe that a grown woman wouldn't know. But that was one of the things I thought about making. What else was it? Oh, the candy too, or not the candy, but like the food. Because there's that real frustrating part where Lily gives you the food to go hand out, and you don't have enough, so you got to pick who you give it out to. And no matter what you do, somebody's going to give you dirty looks and make you try to make you feel guilty about it. It's like this game is punishing you. But I thought about making those for that, but they're not really a cool accessory, so I didn't bother. Mm-hmm. Even though I made tons of food for Clementine. I thought about making him a climbing axe, because Molly has one in the game and Lee borrows it, I think 2 times. But this one that I have is actually for a Tomb Raider that I'm going to make someday, so he don't really need it. It's Molly's weapon anyway. Yeah, I'm happy with how this is. And now I'm not sure who I'm going to move on to. Like I said, I do have some parts I might make the young Clementine.
I'm sure you'll get like 20 people in the comments telling you what to do.
Yeah. Kenny, I would like to have a Kenny, but I would make young Clementine before I made a Kenny.
And then AJ.
If I could find AJ parts, I would make AJ first. But if I can't find AJ parts, then I might start on a Kenny. And I think that would probably be everybody that I made. It would be cool to have like Lewis and Violet from the 4th season, but I don't think I'm going to make them. Because there's just so many 6-0s I want to make. If I wasn't making anything else, I might make them, but I don't think I'm going to make them. Well, tell me what you think. And, it's Mr. Evilcheese.
And I'm Zombiecat.
Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Wow, Clementine. Just look how much you've grown. Just kidding. You're still shorty. Little twerp.
Hey!
It's true. Bet you can't even reach the top shelf.
Shut up! I can manage.
Yeah.
I've missed you, Lee.
No, Clem.
Have you missed me?
No, I'm dead. You idiot. Psh.
Hey! Why are you so mean?
I don't know. This is your dream. It's your fault. I thought I told you to keep that hair short.
It's pretty short.
Huh.
So, I'm taking care of this kid named AJ now.
Oh, really? Why didn't you tell me that before?
I don't know.
What else didn't you tell me?
I collect skulls now and keep them in my room.
What? What the hell's wrong with you?
Whoa, what's that on your hand?
I don't know. Oh, Freddy Krueger glove? I guess this is a dream.
Who's Freddy Krueger?
How do you not know who Freddy Krueger is?
Well, I was a little girl when this whole zombie apocalypse started.
Oh, yeah. Then how is this in your dream, then, if you don't know?
I don't know.
Let me just take that off. There you go.
You have 2 left hands now.
What? Oh, you got some screwed up dreams, girl.
Sorry, Lee. I had a screwed up life, you know.
I see you still got that dirty old hat.
Yeah,
Well, I got a hat now, too. What do you think?
I kind of hate it. It's really stupid looking.
Screw you, then.
Well, the real reason I'm here, Lee, is because I have to go save some of my friends. And I don't know if I can do it.
Is that a banana man holding a banana?
I think so.
You got some weird-ass dreams, Clem.
Well, I just wondered if you had any advice when I try to go save my friends.
Oh, man, Clem, I gotta poop. Well, good luck with that.
I'm a cannibal. This is my kid.
Hey everyone, it's Clementine from The Walking Dead, and you are watching Mr. Evilcheese and Zombie Cat. Don't be a shitbird and subscribe already. Do it. Thanks.